When looking at the Detroit River energy market, it becomes increasingly clear that most of the non-renewable energy sources can be found on the riverfront itself. This is due in part to the ease of transporting coal and other natural resources straight to the power plants. While there are some renewable sources scattered through the area, most of the energy in Detroit is currently non-renewable. However, this is set to change in the next few decades. As we can see, Michigan energy consumption will drastically change from 2019 to 2049, estimated. There'll be an increase in coal and petroleum between 2019 and 2030 before they eventually teeter off, and there'll be a sharp uptick in renewable sources, particularly wind turbine, which will spike at around 2035. Perhaps the most interesting thing about the Detroit River power plant locations is that many of them are clustered in or around the Zug Island area. Zug Island holds a unique place in the larger Detroit River region's history. Before 1700, it was a marshland and sacred burial ground for the Anishinaabe people. In 1888, Samuel Zug dug a canal and converted the marshland into an island to retire on, before eventually selling it in 1901 to a steel company, which marked the beginning of Detroit's industrialization. In the 1950s, Zug Island and the surrounding region became heavily industrialized, and it was powered by future DTE subsidiaries. In 2025, U.S. Steel had closed its operations on Zug Island, though the DTE power plant to the south continued to operate. This power plant slows production in the 2030s, while remaining industrial facilities in the surrounding area become abandoned. In 2045, Zug Island is reacquired by DTE, along with several other parcels in Canada, to clear land and begin a greenification process. In 2050, DTE comes home, resettles the Detroit River as a new green energy frontier. The Grey New Deal is a cautionary tale set on an architectural stage in 2052. DTE has come home to consolidate the local energy market and return to Detroit, like Napoleon on Paris or Caesar on Rome. They have installed purportedly green power plants along the riverfront, consolidated operations on Zug Island, and bisected the U.S.-Canadian border to maximize their energy delivery systems to the region. Could one name a better throne for a new green energy privateer class? These merchants of despair return to the scene of their original crime to posit the Grey New Deal, a new corporate headquarters, research facility, and clean energy production hub spanning from the United States to Canada. Industrious Westerners can once more put Zug Island to better use, and once again challenge the specter in the Motor City. The arrival is marked by a plinth supporting wage slaves on their arduous march to work. The walkway is decorated with trees generously provided by the architect. Workers must ferry from Canada or the United States, and this journey is monitored by drones along the way to ensure worker safety and legal compliance. The plinth is low to the water, though the river would never dare lay siege to this new citadel. The monument requires continuous maintenance to be in working order. This labor is disgusting, perverse, and vulgar, interrupting the daily functions of the office. Those on the other side of the wall agonize in service to the monument, knowing they will serve a larger purpose in the machine. A brief stroll through the corridors reveals a return to our history and the celebrations of prophets Hayek, Friedman, and Draper. Sometimes, the old ways are best. This masterpiece accounts for each body accordingly, indefinitely scrutinizing to maintain good order. The laborers flock to the corridor to see, to be seen, and mingle amongst other bodies without consciousness. Attempts to interrupt this undesirable fraternization have failed, forcing the monument to monitor its pupils aptly. Research facilities are the crown jewel of this Grey New Deal. A void within a void, these spectacular sites knight scientists as defenders of the techno-utopia. All corridors eventually ambulate around the research areas. Workers glance to the side as they walk about, unsure if the glass is a place to preserve or imprison the monument's beasts of burden. Only those closely acquainted with the monument can see the memorial in its entirety. They ascend from work like angels of death, surveying their citadel and its hinterland. It is unclear if these commodity fetishists are blinded by hubris or engulfed with power, but they are a cancer to the community and tear at the urban fabric like a moth to wool. This is how green energy destroys our planet, with the same corporate greed and capital interests that initially conquered the land and discarded its husk in search of a new frontier.